Hello everyone, welcome to CivilPrep. I am Krishna Gupta. So this is lecture 3 we can see here, that is based on areal differentiation and regional synthesis. Okay, just give me 1 second. Okay, so hello, you can say hi in the comment section because I don't know your names who are watching the video right now. And how did you find the previous section, previous lecture? I want to know about that also. Any doubts, any queries, if you have, you can ask me here. Do you have any doubt in the previous lecture? If not, then we can move forward with areal differentiation and regional synthesis. I'm waiting for your reply, guys. Okay, so Urmila is saying there is no doubt. Okay, so we have one clear. Anyone else? Okay, so let's move forward. See, in the previous part, what we have seen that there is something which is development of a thought, which we have seen in the previous lecture, that how they thought of determinism, how the thought of possibilism, how they have developed with respect to the development of geography as a stream here. Now we need to see that what were the major paradigms which have basically given geography and approach for development. How they have given geography and approach for development. Now, under this part, we have two very important things, that is areal differentiation and regional synthesis. Okay, areal differentiation and regional synthesis. These were the two, we can say that, two important paradigms which were present since 1800 up to we can say 1920 or 1930s. Okay, so during this time period, we will see that because of areal differentiation and regional synthesis, geographical subjects have become more descriptive. The development of the geographical stream, it became descriptive. Therefore, it was called as ideographic. Okay, ideographic means it is a description how a subject is studied. It is studied on the basis of empirical studies. Is it based on the observations? Okay, so what we are observing in this particular region, for example, if I'm going to the Himalayas, I'm saying that there are various mountains, rivers, valleys, certain glaciers are present, certain landforms are present, meadows are present. So I see it, I will write it in a book, notebook, that yes, there are mountains, the height of the mountain is this, there is a river, the river is having the width this much, it is having depth this much, and the color of the water is like this. So these things we see that it is more descriptive in nature. So it is based more on the observational part. So here what happened, that geography became more observative. So because it was seen from the perception of the observer, of single observer, the geographical subject become more subjective in nature. It became more subjective in nature. And this subjectivity, it was introduced by the areal differentiation and regional synthesis in the development of the geographical subject. Therefore, what we see here that this subjectivity, it deprived geography of making laws or theories or models. So these were certain things which we see that which geography was majorly deprived of because of this aspect here. So these are something which is ingrained in the subject of geography. But yes, one important thing we will see here that this geographical development, it was very highly developed during this areal differentiation and regional synthesis by the various geographers. Let's start here with the areal differentiation first. So areal differentiation, it constitutes a core concept of geography, signifying the Earth's surface is divisible into distinct areas based on unique combination of phenomena. Now, if I want to say that I have a region, in a region, I can say there is placement of certain mountain ranges, there is presence of certain rivers, there is a patch of land where we have certain presence of trees, and there is certain region where we can see that we have agricultural crop productivity here. So what this aerial differentiation used to do, it used to divide this complete region into the patches. For example, this mountain patch 1, this tree patch 2, and this agricultural patch 3, and the river patches 4 here. So it used to find the uniqueness in these things. Though this uniqueness, they were more subjective, but they used to find the uniqueness here. Therefore, certain core principles were applied for the development of the aerial differentiation as a part here. So, uniqueness principle, each area or region possesses distinctive character differentiating it from the neighbors. Number one. Number two, integration principle. Here, the physical and the human phenomena within a region are casually interconnected. For example, here we have the agricultural part. So under this agriculture, what kind of crop is there? What is the economic activities taking place in the region? So all these things were taken into consideration, which was integrating the physical and the human phenomena. Then hierarchy principle. Regions organize hierarchically from local to global scale. Now, what this is? For example, if I am present in the Himalayas, but Himalayas, we will say that it is present in a transcontinental manner, like it is present from the region of India, China, then we have Bhutan, Nepal, Afghanistan, Pakistan. Okay, then to a certain extent, it is also extending to the region of Central Asia. So under Himalayas, we will find certain areas which are present in India. For example, we have Great Himalayas. So Great Himalayas, we will see that it is present in the region of Jammu and Kashmir. It is present in Uttarakhand. Okay, so these are the two regions in India where we see the presence of Great Himalayas. Also, it is present in Sikkim. Now, I have three states here. Number one, Jammu and Kashmir. Number two, Uttarakhand. And number three, Sikkim. So under this, I can say that this is the global part. This is the continental part. Now we are coming to the regional aspect. Now I want to see the Great Himalayas of the Jammu and Kashmir region. So here I will uh, go to the various peaks which are present in the Jammu and Kashmir region. For example, Nanga Parbat. I want to assess this Nanga Parbat. So here I can say that there is presence of peak, there is presence of glacier, etc. So they define geography in a very better manner. So what we see here, that here the hierarchies were organized. This is just an example from global to regional to local scale here. But this thing was also applied to a larger extent. So this hierarchy principle is also integrated in the areal differentiation. Then next point is synthesis principle. Understanding requires integrating multiple phenomena into the coherent whole here. We have seen one of the development of the or the study of the subject where we are studying certain set of principles and we are deriving it to the whole concept. So this is the part of the systematic. Uh, Not systematic. This is a part of the regional study. This is the regional study where we are having one particular concept and we are understanding this concept being applied to the whole part here. So this is a synthesis principle. For example, in the Himalayas region, for example, in Jammu and Kashmir Valley region only, we have snowfall in the time period from December up to March. Why this is so? Why this is so? It is seen that snowfall is a form of precipitation. During the winter season, Himalayan region does not see any kind of precipitation from the monsoonal, which is northeast trade winds. But still, the Himalayan region see here the rainfall or the snowfall. Why this is so? Can you anyone answer here? Would you like to try? Why there is snowfall in the Himalayas in the winter season? Yes. Okay. Okay, no issues. We will move forward. So the snowfall in the during this time period in the Himalayan region, it is because of the western disturbances. Western disturbances, they are originating in the Mediterranean Sea. They are being transferred to the region of India by the jet stream, that is westerly jet stream, and they are bringing precipitation, which is a form of a orographic rainfall in the region of India, that is Himalayas. So this is one of the part which we can see that this is a snowfall concept which is linked to the western disturbances and the Himalayan region. Now, here certain fundamental questions came into the part. Like aerial differentiation used to ask, why are places different from one another? Okay. What is the unique part from place one to place two? What casual relationships produce regional uniqueness? Why there are regional uniqueness in this particular region? So these were certain questions used to be asked by the aerial differentiation, where certain questions used to be answered by various geographers. Now we need to have a complete set of geographers starting from the ancient period up to the modern period, because this aerial differentiation concept, it is still applicable in the contemporary time of environmentalism, where it uses both the approaches, that is the aerial differentiation or the regional approach, and the systematic approach to study the various phenomena which are taking place over the earth. Okay. Now, period, scholar, contribution, and approach that was followed by the geographer. First is Strabo, which was a Greek Roman scholar. He applied chorography, that is description of earth areas. It was majorly descriptive regional cataloging. If you will go to the internet, you will see the work of Strabo. Here the chorography, that is the description of earth, is provided. Then Al-Biruni, that is Arabian. Comparative cultural regions, that is regional differentiation through culture. If you will look at in the history, we have read about Al-Biruni. So Al-Biruni is have compared the culture of India with the culture of the Middle East, and he have moved to the different regions of India, and he have tried to gather that what is the culture in the Delhi, what is the culture in Deccan, what is the culture in Northeast India, and the people, what people used to eat, what people used to wear, how people used to speak, what was the basic tradition being followed by the people in different regions. So this was the work of Al-Biruni, where he was comparing the human aspect or the human part here from one human to another human. Then next we have Varenius. Varenius, we will see, he is one of the geographer from the classical period. So formal recognition of special geography. In the previous lecture, we have seen the term special geography. Special geography is another form of the human geography. So Varenius has described that human geography is one of the subject of, sorry, special geography is one of the subset of the physical geography. Okay, and here or the general geography, and it has to be studied differently from the general geography. So regional approach as a systematic method was seen here, which excluded the study of the human or special geography with the general geography. Then here we have Kant, okay, 1780s. Here he have given the exceptionalist view of geography, that geography is one of the subject which have to be studied in a very unique manner. It is not overlapping with other subjects, and it is quite unique in its structure, which he has given as a part of the chorography and chorology. Then geography organized around space areas, not the subject matter. We have seen in the previous lecture. Then we have Carl Ritter, 1822 to 1859. He emphasized on the regional synthesis. Okay, that is unity in diversity through the regional study. Any region, as we have seen in this part here, any region, it can be unique and it can be different from another. So we need to see that what are the different diversity which are uniting those particular areas into a single region. Now, second part, we will see here that in the 19th and 20th century, what have actually taken place for the areal differentiation. So when we go to the German school, here we have Richthofen to Hetner. So Richthofen, we will see that he distinguished chorography, that is description, from chorology. Okay, here we have two terms, that is choreography and chorology. Choreography is basically description of a particular subject, whereas the chorology is the analysis of the interrelationship between the regions. So this is an important part which was done by the Richthofen here. But what it was seen that what Richthofen has given here for the chorology, that was not very much elaborated and explained. Therefore, Hattner came into the picture. What Hattner did here, he developed the chorological viewpoint. He focused on the human interaction with the natural environment and its varieties across the Earth's surface. See, whenever a concept is developed, that concept can be in the initial phases, it can be having certain subject matter, certain researches. But to study it more, we need to broaden our viewpoint. So this was the work which was done by Richthofen, and this was the work which was done by Hattner. But you will see that in the coming time period, there were major other theorists also from Hattner to Hartshorne who have worked for the development of chorology and made chorology an exceptional part here. Okay, so this part, what we are seeing here, this were majorly one of the part of the or the subset of the exceptionalism. Okay, now chorology. What is basically chorology? Achieving integration of regions part was central, concerned with understanding the interconnectedness, creating the regional uniqueness. For example, if I take an example of India. So in India, we have certain, we can say that certain landforms, like we have plains, plateaus, and mountains. We have various rivers, okay, various rivers flowing across India. We have agricultural cropping pattern, okay. Then after cropping pattern, we have certain languages, we have religion, okay, we have certain food culture. So all these things we see that they are interconnected with one another. For example, if I take an example of the Deccan part of India. So in the Deccan part, in the coastal region, there is grown of rice. Why the rice is grown? Because here the climate is supporting the growth of rice. For example, the water availability, it is around 200 to 150 centimeters per year. Then it is tropical in nature, tropical to subtropical in nature, the climate is. Then the type of soil, it is majorly, uh, it is varying from the alluvial to marshy to, we can say, the laterite soil. So these things, this soil variation, it supports the growth of rice. But if you come to the Punjab and Haryana region, so in Punjab and Haryana region, here we see that there is major presence of the alluvial soil, number one. Number two, a very vast network of river. The climatic pattern we will see, it is majorly semi-arid in nature. That is, the rainfall is present between 50 to 100 centimeter, varying from the region of Rajasthan, okay, up to the Himachal Pradesh and Jammu and Kashmir region. So because of these conditions, we see that it naturally supports millets in summer and it naturally supports wheats in winter. Okay, so this is one of the part which we see that it is interconnected across the region. So they are, this is basically one of the part which is being explained as a part of the choreography, that what part we can integrate the aspect of the various regions. So this is chorology. We try to analyze here. This is the analysis of a region, that how it is interconnected with the other region or how it is different from the other region. Now, after this, we will see that there is Otto Sculter. He critic Hattner. How? More practical approach needed here for understanding the transformation of Erland shaft. Erland shaft, that is the original landscape, to the cultural landscape. Okay, these are the German words. That is the cultural landscapes through the human activity. So Hattner, we will see that Hattner is here. He has tried to make the regional studies more objective, from very highly subjective to the better objective part here. But yes, there was more work to be done here, as highlighted by the sculptor. Now, under the French school, that is taken up by the Vidal here. The regional approach dominated through the Vidalian tradition. We can see here that the Pays and genre de Vire, they were studied across the rivers. Okay, they were studied across the rivers, and they were majorly following the regional geography tradition. Okay, this was the major regional approach tradition here. Pays, we will see that is the distinct natural regions of France, and genre divide, that is the unique ways of life emerging from human culture physical interaction, that is what culture is followed here in this particular region. So that was the genre divide. So the objective regionalism here was regions seen as real entities existing on the earth's surface. This is an important point which can be used in the answer writing for the exam. Now, here comes very important character, the superhero of the regional geography or aerial differentiation, that is the Hartshorne. Hartshorne is one of the geographer belonging to the American school. Okay, Hartshorne did his work in the geographical aspect 1906 to 1992. The most important American regional geographer who synthesized the European traditions also. Now, here we will see that what are the key contributions of the Hartshorne for the development of the aerial differentiation here. The subdivisional regional geography. Okay, here I would like to expand. After Hattner, okay, Richthofen, there is, I will put here Kant first, Kant to Richthofen, Richthofen to Hattner, Hattner to Hartshorne. So Hartshorne, he expanded the scope of the study of the regional geography. We can see here how this is increasing, how the scope is increasing by the next geographer in the next phase. So Hartshorne's key contribution here was subdivisional regional geography. That is traditional descriptive approach to demarcating real regions. Okay, so here we can see that from description, he was going to the real regions. He was actually taking up various empirical studies. Number two, the chorological viewpoint. Regional synthesis combining description and interrelationship analysis. So he was one of the theorists or geographer who was analyzing regionally, combining the description and the interrelationship analysis together. Then subjective regionalism. Regions as a mental constructs. Mental constructs we will be understanding in detail in behavioralism. But this mental construct, it is also part of the existentialism. Existentialism, it is part of the human geography. Okay, under the behavioralism, it is part of the mental map. Okay, so in this aspect, we will see that this became a geographical tool for studying the complex phenomena here. So what Hartshorne used to do here, he used to identify the various subject matter, and he used to see that various phenomena, how they are taking place over the time. So he used to create a mental construct of those particular events which are taking place in a region, and he was trying to see that how one mental construct it differed from the another, or from one region to another region, and on the basis of which he was able to differentiate the region 1 to region 2 to region 3 to region 4. Thus, there was a distinction which he made, that was the regional geography versus the regional method. Now, what this is? Regional geography, basically it is the descriptive cataloging of Earth's unique regions. Okay, this is description, that is the written part. For example, I am writing a poem, so the description will be almost similar here. But regional method, we will see that it is an analytical framework for achieving geographic synthesis applicable to all geographic inquiry. So under this part, whatever the regional geography, what we see that, which was given by Hattner, and before him the Richthofen, it was changed here. The approach was changed by the Hartshorne here, where he started to use the analytical framework in the study of the regions. Okay, the study of regions, it was made quite analytical by the work of Hartshorne. So Hartshorne's fundamental claim, what was done here, geography is not exceptional. Okay, here Hartshorne is saying it, very important part here, that geography is not exceptional. It employs regional method common to all science, but applies it particular to the spatial variation. So Hartshorne was the one who has said that geography is not a exceptional subject. Geography is not an exceptional subject, but it is one of the subject where all the common laws are also applied to the geography, and it can be made more analytical here. So Hattner took away this regional, or I will say here the areal differentiation, which was developed by by the Hartshorne, away from which was developed by Hattner, Richthofen, and Kant. But all of them, they have basically followed the approach of the areal differentiation or regional approach. This is Hartshorne. Okay, this is Hartshorne, this is Hattner, this is Richthofen, and this is Kant here. So here we see that how the Hartshorne's claim, it made the geography or the areal differentiation away from the other subjects here. Now this was the areal differentiation. Now what happened that areal differentiation became one of the very important subjects for the study of the geography. Now let's understand in this in quite detail. As we have seen in the previous lecture, that areal differentiation or the regional geography, it was quite descriptive, and how it resulted into development of laws and models, which became quite difficult for as a part of the racism. Okay, it basically supported the fascism, as we have seen in the form of the German as Aryans, superior race, while other races as inferior. And these inferior races should be wiped out. Therefore, massacre, where we see that the Jews were the one who were the highly affected because of this massacre here. So this was something which was seen during the World War One to World War Two, and here this areal differentiation or the regional geography, it was highly criticized. It was highly criticized for its approach, that what it made particularly a geography. But this regional geography and the areal differentiation, it basically highly helped in the expansion of colonialism, expansion of colonies by the Britishers. Sorry, not only Britishers, but the Europeans. So this was something which also helped the Europeans or the colonialists but it also resulted into the massacre. Okay, so here we will see certain causes of decline of the regional geography as a part of the geographical discipline. So first is the quantitative revolution. Now, what happened during the World War One to World War Two period? Okay, I am taking this as a new part here. Okay, World War One to World War Two. Now, with the development of the industrial revolution, which occurred almost around 1750s to 1780s, so it resulted into the mass production. Now, because of mass production, here where there was the development of the various kind of industries throughout the Europe, not only Europe, but there was a we can say the deindustrialization of industries moving towards American region, Japan, then to the Korean region to certain extent, then to other smaller countries in those time period. In this time, we will see that there was very high, we can say that very high development of certain researches. For this researches, there was development of certain basic computers. Okay, these basic computers, it was not the modern computer, but these computers basically it worked on certain logics, and this were made quite analogically. It helped the gathering of data and also the use of data to understand various phenomena. And this data, we will see that it was developed quite systematically. For example, the streams of science like physics, chemistry, biology. Then we can see certain economics, then philosophy also, polity. So all these subjects, they have certain data or certain thoughts which can be used systematically. Here, geography became an exception. Geography became an exception. Why? Because when we were referring to the data, geography at that time was having regional approach. And whatever the data which was present with the regional approach, it was merely an observation. It was a mere observation and it was very subjective. And this subjective data, it was of no use for these particular systems. There was no use of this data for these particular systems here. Therefore, geography became one of the subjects which was not aligned to the development of other disciplines. Therefore, it resulted into the condition where geography saw a crisis phase. There was a crisis phase of geography where geographical discipline it started to shut down. The study of geography is to shut down in various, we can say, universities like Oxford, okay, across US, across we can say Germany. Germany was there, but other regions also. in America. So because of this, we see that there was a crisis phase for geography. And to overcome this issue, what was the major issue here? The issue was that the data which is present here, it was very much subjective in nature. Therefore, this data, it has to be made, or it has to be collected from a objective way. Therefore, there was a crisis, and this crisis we will see here, it was overcome. How it was overcome? By the introduction of quantitative revolution. This was overcome by the quantitative revolution, which made geography more positivistic. It made geography more from ideographic to nomothetic. So we will be understanding quantitative revolution in very detail. Don't worry, I'll be explaining each and every aspect on the quantitative revolution. But first, we'll be understanding this areal differentiation and regional approach. We will complete this. Then in the next part, we have quantitative revolution only. Okay. Now, there was a shift from descriptive to positivistic systematic approaches. Okay. The critique of exceptionalism. Here comes the Scheffer. Scheffer was one of the person who was highly inclined to the inclusion of geography as a positivistic subject. Okay, not making it exceptional, making it more, we can say, nomothetic and not ideographic, making it more like the study of like in the form of the sciences. So here, he challenged the Hartshorne's regional exceptionalism, arguing that geography should adopt the positivistic methodology. Okay. Excuse me. Now, here the accusations of a theoretical nature was also done. The regional geography criticized for lack of theoretical rigor, that is very succession of facts. Okay, why? Because it was highly subjective in nature. Then macro regionalization problems. Okay, there should be always be a problem. Why? Because things were very highly subjective in nature. Large-scale regional classifications, for example, Herbertson's natural regions, revealed internal inconsistencies. Okay, for example, this thing can be applied theoretically to a certain extent, but when you are trying to apply the same thing to a very large extent, it becomes an issue at that particular point. Okay, for example, if I want to see that in the region of India, in Punjab and Haryana region, we have growth of wheat and rice in the contemporary time. But we see that around 70 to 80 years from now, it was growing wheat and millets. So how this thing changed here? So when I tried to map out the regions here, and I tried to map out the various districts, then various villages, various blocks, that what is actually happening in those regions. So it becomes an issue that how this macro region, okay, macro region, like I'm taking the complete region of Punjab, Haryana, and Western Uttar Pradesh. So there was inconsistencies which were internally present with respect to the availability of water, then climate variation, then the topography variation, then the river regions, then the type of soil which is present in the region, the people who are present in those regions with respect to the people of Haryana, they have a different culture language. People of Punjab, they have a different culture language and religion also. And people of, we can say, Western Uttar Pradesh, they have a different language, culture, and the way of living also. So here we see that there was a large scale inconsistencies which was highlighted by the Shepherd. Now, next is replacement by systematic geography. Now, regional geography was one thing, but there was a systematic replacement also. Specialized branches like economics, political, cultural geography assumed greater prominence in this particular systematic approach. So this was basically highlighted by Schaffer. Okay, this was highlighted by Schaffer. Now, because of this paper of Schaffer, Hartshorne became quite, we can say that Hartshorne became quite agitated, and he has given reply to the Schaffer here that what geography should be, how geography should be studied, and it is not geography that what you are thinking. It is geography that what it ought to be. Okay, this is an important line. Geography is what it ought to be. It is not what you ought to be. Geography जैसा सब्जेक्ट है, वो geography है इसलिए वैसा है. तुम जैसा सोचते हो geography वैसा नहीं है. So this is the basic explanation of the lines which were taken by the Harshim here. Let's look at this. Then Shepard's challenge in 1953. Exceptionalism arrogant. If geography is science, must formulate universal laws. Basically, geography as a part of regional studies, what was not able to formulate laws because data was not able to be captured from into the systems there. Geography was not able to capture the systems data there. Okay, next, the historical distortion traced exceptionalism to Kant, okay, as we've seen in the previous part, arguing when Kant wrote, no sciences existed, only cosmologies. Okay, so this was one of the argument which was given by the Kant. There are no sciences existed, only the cosmologies existed. So Kant, you will see that he have also given the Kant and Laplace the development or the formation of the universe. Okay, so here he has taken certain things into consideration. Now, whatever Kant has done from the perception of what he was, what knowledge or whatever studies he had at that particular time period. So he was taking everything from the view of the cosmology. Cosmology is basically one of the subset of the science where we see the phenomena which are occurring in the universe. Okay, so this is one thing which was taken by the Kant. So the issue of this particular perception of Kant, it is an issue. Why? Because there are no sciences and there existed only cosmology. So this was issue which was highlighted by the Scheffer here. Now, methodology which is needed. Geography should import models from the sister disciplines, transform them into the morphological laws. Now, until that time, geography was not able to take various help of the sister disciplines. For example, if I want to develop a particular model for the political geography, so I can import certain laws from polity. If I want to see economic geography, I can import certain laws from the economics and I can apply them in geography. If I want to see it from the perspective of like philosophy, so philosophical laws can be taken and it can be applied to geography. Then psychology applied to geography. So these things were not done. Why? Because there was no specific data present in regional studies. Okay, these data were subjective and were not able to be applied. So Shepard argued that this had to be done to make geography more theory based, making laws. Okay, geography making laws which is applied to the universe at the universal level. Okay, so for this part, Harshun has given replies. Harshun has given reply that geography is what geographers make it. This is a very important statement. Discipline defined by practitioners, not philosophy. Okay, this was one of the part which was given by the Hartshorne response here. Okay, geography is what geographers make it, what geographies ought to be. Then Hettner, independent of Kant. Hettner developed chorology independently, not from Kant. Okay, if we come to the previous part here where we were talking about the exceptionalism. So here we have Kant, here we have Richthofen, here we have Hettner, and here we have Hartshorne. So he's saying that the chorological view of the Kant, it is different from the chorological view of the Hettner. So there is a difference between the chorology of Kant and Hettner. And yes, there was a difference between the chorology of Hartshorne and the Hettner also. So this was also highlighted by Hartshorne here. Then Scheffer's own exceptionalism. Now, Scheffer is also giving an exceptionalism point here by suggesting geography must impose rather than develop its own theories. Scheffer preaches exception, he claims to destroy. So he's saying that Scheffer wants to import theories from other disciplines. But what geography can do? Geography can develop its own laws and models, okay? Its own theories. So this was something which was given by Hartshorne. Now, what was the outcome of this debate? Shepard's view prevailed in Anglo-American geography for 2 decades. That is, regional geography marginalized. Now, what it was seen here that Shepard used to give that the issue that this areal differentiation and regional studies had. For example, what we have highlighted here, there was a massacre of people, there was a criticism, it was a colonial expansion. So this was something because America was also one of the colony of the Britishers and the French in a particular time period. So there was certain kind of, we can say, hating for for this imperialist tendency also. So because of this, the support majorly went to the shepherd. Okay, support majorly went to the shepherd because America was not United States of America in those time. It became one of the countries which was becoming highly developed. It did not had very high loans, and whatever the per capita income it had at that time period, it was very high from the other countries, and it started its industrial base in those time period also. So because of this tendencies, okay, the hate for the racism and fascism at that time period, and basically there was an issue with the communism also, and these things it favored the shippers view. So because of this, what happened? There was a divergent path, that is regional geography in different national traditions. Okay, what used to happen in those time period? For example, 1900 to 1950s or 1960s, there used to be conferences. For example, you might have heard about the conferences of doctors in the contemporary time, or the geographical summits used to take place in contemporary time. So the same thing used to happen in those time period, where the scholars used to be invited from the various schools, and they used to gather at that particular place, and they used to debate with one another by showing the papers. And the debate used to be that how many people are in for that particular research, and how many people are for the against. Okay, so here, how that particular paper can be made better, this was also studied upon. So here we see that the regional geography use, it basically was dropped from the various schools. Okay, and these schools saw the quantitative revolution or the positivist tendency, which increased in the study of the geography. So this was seen in those time period. Let's see this here. In France, there was persistence of regional tradition. France was one of the country where the regional tradition it persisted. The Vidalian regional tradition remained strong post World War II, longer than in the Anglo-America. 1960s active debate on regional geography purpose and methods. Regional approach never fully displaced by the systematic geography. So this was the principle which remained largely unaffected by the rise of the quantitative revolution. Second was Soviet Union, that was state-sponsored regionalism. Okay, here we have seen that the possibilism, which was also called as indeterminism. But here what we see that in the Soviet Union, there were more than 29 countries which were present in the Soviet Union, and they have very high regionalization. So it was impossible for Soviet Union to make single policy and apply it at all these 29, not countries, I will say, 29 regions, I will say here. Okay, this policy, and it was applied at board. It was like the policies have to made for various regions separately. So this was one of the foundation for the regional development or the regionalism in the Soviet Union. So regional approach it institutionalized in the state planning. Okay, as we can see here. Then there is Nikolai Bransky, influenced the Gosplan State Planning Commission there. The regional division. USSR divided into 21 planning regions studied in depth. Philosophical justification. Only regionalism could achieve balanced economic development in the Soviet Union. There was a Marxist argument here also. Capitalism ignores regional specificity, destroying resources. Socialism must respect regional uniqueness. So this was given by Marx here. Majorly, Marx philosophy was taken into the consideration for understanding or making this regional studies better. Now, in the next is United States that undergone the underground persistence here. Number one, Witless's compages in 1950s. So here Whittlesey came out with one of the regional study. Basically, it was regional, but it was majorly systematic. The outcome came in the form of the regional phenomena also. So regions as a local arrangement of phenomena significant for the human occupancy. So this was given by Witless's compage. Okay. Then regional geography remained important in education despite academic marginalization in the various American regions. Then cultural geography particularly maintained regional approach. Why? Because we have to study different regions, different cultures, and how one culture is differentiated from another culture. This there so therefore there was presence of the cultural geography. Then resurrection of regional geography, that is new regionalisms, which emerged in the 1970s. Now, understanding this part, we need to understand one basic point here. Now, what happened? We will see here. There was a paradigm shift in the geography. There was areal differentiation, which started to decline after the 1950s. Okay, during the 1950s, there was development of a new paradigm, which was quantitative revolution. But this quantitative revolution also saw decline after the 1960s to 1970s. Okay, and therefore we see that there was rise of behavioralism, radicalism, behavioralism, radicalism, and we can say here the humanist geography. So they rose, but they also merged with the critical geography and they started to decline. Then there was functionalist geography, and there was environmental geography, which became the major paradigm in that particular time period. So here we see that the areal differentiation, it declined after 1950s. But in human geography or humanist geography, radicalism and behavioral geography, there was a re-emergence, re-emergence of regional approach. How? If I want to study the behavior of one person living in one region to another person who is living in another region, so I have to study the regions of those particular subject matter part there. So here, similar thing happened with the radical aspect, that what is the spatial inequality existence in two spaces. We have to study the two spaces differently. Then what are the belief system of people in two different regions? I have to study two different regions from the humanistic perspective. We need to study the region, what is the environment of the region, and how it is shaping the people. So in the contemporary part of environmentalism also, this regional studies, it is also present here. So this thing, there was a re-emergence of this regional approach in 1970s. With the quantitative revolution's demise in early 1970s, regional geography resurgence occurred through Number one, social relevance movement. Social relevance movement, we will see that during the 1964, 1967, a lot of events have taken place. Number one, there was Vietnam War. Number two, there was crisis for economy. Number three, there was spatial inequality. Number four, there was a very high skill poverty was prevailing. Number five, the people used to have, we can say that the issues of food, which is a very basic thing for the survival of human beings. The issue of food existed in Asia, Africa, these regions. Okay, so we see that there were certain issues which were ongoing in those particular time period. Okay, and there was also presence of wars in various regions. Okay, basically the Middle East part and Africa part. There was still existence of colonialism. Okay, colonialism still existed in that particular time period. So this was a social relevance movement, that what is the society where we are living, what is this particular conditions that we are facing, why there is inequality, why there is war. Okay, there can be certain solutions for all these things, because the world has already seen World War One and World War Two, and the consequences of World War Two, basically to a specific aspect, because World War Two had been very much devastating for the complete world. It changed the perception from, if you try to belittle certain state, that state if came into retaliation, it can just kick over the all the countries which have tried to belittle it. So this was one of the answer given by Germany to the complete world. Therefore, World War Two, the consequences, it was very much simple. It was very much, we can say that, encouraging for the development of Germany also. Yes, Devesh Maji. Hello, Devesh. Uh, uh, Anything I can help you with? How are you finding the session? I think something occurred here. Okay, not an issue. So, a regional approach suited for the, just give me a second. Okay, now moving forward, the humanistic tradition emphasis on the human experience, that is place specific meanings required for regional focus. Now, after this, the structural approaches argued that underlying structures produce variable geographical patterns, regional approach ideals for studying structural variety here. So these were also taken up as a part of condition. So we can see here the three basic pattern. Social relevance movement, it is part of, we can say that it is radicalism. Humanistic tradition, that is humanistic geography. Structural approaches, it is part of radicalism. Radicalism, it paved way for the development of the structural approaches. What are the structures? What are the economic structures? That is institutions. For example, we have United Nations. Before United Nations, we had the League of the World. Okay, League of the World, that was the name. Then we have IMF in the contemporary time. Then we have the World Bank. These are the institutions. Okay, political institutions, economic institutions. Then we have security institutions. We have, we can say, environmental institutions like United Nations Environmental Program, UNFCCC, UNCCD, then CBD. So these are institutions. These are basically the structures which are present over the world. These structures, they are looking after the various perceptions which by which the world is looking at to the various phenomena in the contemporary time. So this is something which is important, and this thing, okay, I'm reading it again. It argued, that is, Pure argued, that underlying structures produce variable geographical patterns, regional approach ideal for studying structural variety. Now, how this thing is saying. For example, if there is a person who is economist, so he will see the complete world from the economic perspective, that how we can increase the economy of a particular region. But if there is another person who is environmentalist, if he's environmentalist, he will see from the perspective of how we can improve the environment of the world, how we can decline the pollution, how we can decline the various we can say how we can decline the pollution wastages, then we can make air cleaner, water cleaner, and these things. Okay, so this is environmentalist. So whenever we see something from one single perspective, okay, here what becomes, that particular structure comes into the picture, and the other realities, it goes into the back foot. So this was one of the issue which was highlighted here as a part of the structural approaches. The same thing goes for the political aspect also. Okay, so these things were prevalent in those time period, and basically they are present right now also, but these structures have become more stronger. These structures have become more stronger, and they are able to make various changes in the particular aspect here. Now, after this, what we see that the resurrection of the regional geography, there was contemporary regional approaches which we see in the contemporary time, that is the postmodern time, 1970s to 2025. So here there is one concept of bioregionalism, which is given by Alan van Newkirk in the 1970s. So definition, if we look at the regional models integrating human activities with biological realities of nature, natural landscape. Okay, so regional methods, which was given by Hartshorne, integrating human activities with biological realities of natural landscape. This is basically the part of the bioregionalism here. Now, development, Berg and Desmond expanded this concept here. The bioregion's geographical terrain and terrain of consciousness. Okay, the geographical terrain, what is present in that geographical region, and what is the consciousness that is prevailing in those particular regions, and how it is differing from one region to another region. So this is given as a part of the bioregionalism. Organic definition, if we look at, the bioregions cannot be defined externally, but only from inside by resident recognizing realities of local living world. So this is one of the part which was given as a part of the bioregionalism, that is the active human involvement in that particular region. What integration does here, how they are integrated. It merges the concept of natural regions with the concept of the place. Okay, we can see here three things: the concept of natural regions and the concept of place, that is the humanist part here. Okay, so here we can see that we have humanist part here, regional approach here, which is basically making this particular bioregionalism a reality. Okay, then we have advantages of the bioregionalism. It addresses the environmental human interaction. It also recognizes the place-based identity here. It is applicable to conservation and sustainability planning also. So these are certain outcomes of the bioregionalism here. So this is one of the part of the areal differentiation. I would like to ask that any doubt in this areal differentiation, because next we'll be starting with the regional synthesis. Those who are watching the lectures, if you want, you can ask the queries. I will be very much happy to answer you. And Divesh Maji. Okay, it was nice interacting with you, but please don't disturb the class here. Doubts or queries? If you want, you can ask it here. Okay, so Sonali has said that there is no doubt. Okay, the PDF what I am taking up right now, it will be uploaded to the lecture 3 for areal differentiation and the regional synthesis. Don't worry about it. Okay. Okay, if there is no doubt or query, I can move forward. I'll begin with the regional synthesis. Okay. Now, next topic here we have, that is the regional synthesis. That is methodology and practice. This is one of the part that what made this geographical aspect more applied in nature, or this regional studies more applied in nature. First, we'll look at what is regional synthesis. So, defining regional synthesis here. Regional synthesis refers to the method of regional geography, integration of regions recognized element into coherent whole possessing unique characteristics, differentiating it from the surroundings. Okay. Core process, if we look at here, achieving Genheit, that is German, wholeness, and the meaning is wholeness, understanding that whole is greater than sum of parts, with parts dependent on each other and on whole. Okay, let's understand this with a diagram. Okay, now here we will see that we have certain aspect here which is consisting as a part of physical geography and human geography. For example, the physiography, climate, vegetation, then we can see here fauna. It is also part of the physical geography. Then under human geography, we will see that we have certain type of settlement, we have certain economic activities, we have certain we can say that culture, we have certain agriculture pattern, we have certain we can say that belief system. Okay, so these things we see that it is varying in certain different regions. If I take this example for like I can take one state or India. So in India, we will see that if I'm talking about the physiography part, that is mountain. Under the mountain regions, we have dispersed settlement. Okay, if I talk about climate here we see that it is more of if we go to the higher part. Okay, we have temperate climate. Okay, under the vegetation we have alpine vegetation. Under the fauna, I can say that we have snow leopard. Okay, under economic activities, we will see here that it is majorly uh, economic activities. We can say here we have hunting and gathering. Okay, then under economic activities for the climatic part, if I see about the climate, so here with respect to the summer season, with respect to the winter season, during the summer season, we have agriculture in summer. In the winter season, we basically follow here the transhumance. Okay, vegetation, if we look in the summer season, the economic activities in the summer season with respect to vegetation, economic activities with respect to vegetation, here we have certain dry fruits like walnut. Fauna, with respect to economic activities, we do certain kind of rearing. Okay, we also extract wool during the summer season basically. Culture, if we look with respect to the physiography, the mountainous regions, culture, they practice transhumance. Okay, culture with respect to climate, we will see here that there is certain food habits with respect to like kava. Then because it is very cold in those regions, there is kava is very famous, and the food is with respect to the what is we can say that non-vegetarian is very highly preferred. Vegetation and culture, there are certain practices. If we look at the regions here, certain practices which are related to the presence of trees, presence of the vegetation, it is highly followed. Okay, there is also certain animals which are also included as a part of culture. For example, the dogs, okay, the sheep, okay, they are reared here as a part of the culture. Then agricultural system with respect to mountains, here we will say that two type of system is seen here. One is on the slope and one is on the plain. If you look at the slope, there is more potato. Then also there is saffron. In the plain region where the trees are present, there is presence of walnuts. Okay, it also changes with the climate. During the summer season, we have different type of agricultural system. During winter season, it is different. Vegetation during the summer, it is quite lush green. During the winter season, it becomes deciduous. Then fauna, we will see that during the summer season, fauna here, it is more living over the mountain peaks, while in the winter, it is more towards the we can say the base of mountains. Okay, belief system, the physiographical belief system, it is also different. The climate system, the vegetation, the fauna. Okay, currently we will see that the belief system of the civilized people is different from the tribal people. So tribal people is they have different belief system, and the we can say that the people who are civilized, that is us, basically what I can say, that who have done their systematic study, the classes and everything, they have a different belief system here. So what it was seen here, that this regional synthesis, okay, this matrix was created here, and this matrix, it was basically developed by Barry, and this is called as Barry's matrix. This became a core of the regional synthesis, where we were able to identify the physical aspect and the human aspect, and we were able to integrate both of them in a single matrix here. Okay. Components, if we look at definition and processes, identification, recognize the relevant elements, select phenomena significant to a region, then analysis, understand element characteristics, individual element description. Integration, establish interrelationship, then causal links connecting the elements. Synthesis, create coherent whole here, and unified regional character merges here. Differentiation, compared to other regions, regional uniqueness established here. Now, this I am taking this particular aspect with respect to mountain. I can take a similar part here with respect to the plains. I can take a similar aspect here, which is for the plateau. I can take a form of similar, we can say, matrix here, which is for the desert. I can form a similar aspect here, which is for the coastal plains. Then for islands. So in this way, what I'm trying to do here, I'm trying to make a regional synthesis, which is covering the various aspect of the regions from one region to another region. And this is basically a synthesis which is seen and which has been developed by the regional synthesis approach here. Okay. So this mountain, this becomes one of the part of the regional studies or the regional synthesis, which helps geographer to identify the uniqueness, interconnect one unique characteristic with the another unique characteristic, taking physical geography and the human geography, and in fact the other aspects which are needed for as a part of the element, to interconnect them and analyze in a better way. So this is basically done here as a part of the regional synthesis. Now, here one important aspect is Hartshorne's chorology. Now, Hartshorne, what he has given one important concept, and he has uh, identified the regional method, which was different from the regional studies. Okay, so here what he talks about the regional methods, he says that the Hartshorne's chorological approach involves the integration of vertical unity as well as the horizontal unity here. So interrelationship between the regions components creating uniqueness. Okay, so what uniqueness can be created here? It can be created with respect to mountain, plateau, coastal regions, then uh, coastal areas, desert, etc. Then under horizontal unity, vertical unity is basically this one. This is vertical unity, and this is horizontal unity. So basically, this is Hartshorne what it is talking about. The uniqueness can be created between the vertical unity and the horizontal unity here. So relationship between the regions forming the hierarchical organization here. Then we can form a hierarchy here as we have formed in the previous part. Okay, so this is what we need here as a part of the study of the chorological approach. Integration process, how it is done. Moving from individual phenomena analysis, that is systematic geography, through recognition of interrelationship, that is chorology, to identification of unique regional combinations, that is regional synthesis. So here we can see that moving from an individual phenomena, like what we can see here in this part, the individual phenomena, that is the settlement. Okay, we have moved above from the regional phenomena, and now what we are moving towards, we are moving towards a The interrelationship, that is the chorology. What chorology is? Chorology, under this we have the vertical unity and the horizontal unity. Now here we have established the vertical unity and the horizontal unity is also established here. Now we have formed this chorology. Chorology is formed. Now in the next step, what we are doing here, we are doing a identification of unique regional combination, that is the regional synthesis. Now we are trying to make this chorology into the interrelationship establishment between the mountains, plains, plateaus, desert, and the coastal plains or the coastal regions. So in this way, we are able to develop or achieve a regional approach, which is regional synthesis in this case, which is very highly useful for the study of a geographical region. Okay, so this is basically given by the Hartshorne, that is the chorological approach developed by him under the vertical unity and the horizontal unity and the integrating process here. Now, one thing which was done here in a better way, what we are seeing in the above part, this is basically the work which is done by Barry. Okay, but Hartshorne has not, he has given the idea that how this can be done. He has not given the basic approach that how we have to arrange all these things together. This was basically done by Brian Barry. In 1964, he formalized the regional synthesis through this geographic matrix. Okay, geographic matrix. This is the geographic matrix we are talking about, which is given basically by the Barry here. Now, structure, rows, geographic phenomena like climate, vegetation, population, economy, etc. Columns, places, and regions. Cells, geographic fact, specific characteristics at specific locations. Analytical approach enabled by the matrix here. Arrangement with row, spatial distribution pattern of single phenomena, that is mapping. Arrangement within the column, localized variable association, that is the regional character. Row comparison, spatial association of characteristic, that is the spatial correlation. Column comparison, areal differentiation comparing regions. Submetric boxes, regional hierarchical study. Temporal dimension is also established in this particular aspect, including time creates 10 analytical approaches, that is 5 spatial, 5 spatiotemporal, achieving comprehensive geographical synthesis here. Now, what we can do here, this particular matrix is created for 2025. I can also create the same kind of matrix for 1000 BC. I can create a same matrix for around 1 million years ago. So these creation of matrix, it can help us to gain a temporal and spatial analysis. Okay, here we can have a temporal and a spatial analysis, which will help us to understand the development of this, the development of landform or the changes of landform, or the changes in the various aspects can be understood in a better way. Now, advantages and applications of aerial differentiation here. Academic advantages like disciplinary identity. Basically, what it did here, it distinguished geography from other social sciences. Similar kind of phenomena like not applicable in the physics, not applicable in history. History to somewhat it is applicable in the form of the chronology, which was also one of the exceptional subject as per the Kant here. Okay. Now, synthesis framework ensures geography remains a unified discipline despite the proliferation of systematic specializations. Now, systematic specializations, for example, I can say planetary events. This is a systematic part. Number two, precipitation. Now, when I talk about precipitation in India, it is quite monsoonal in nature. But when I talk about precipitation as a particular concept, so it is having a systematic concept here with respect to the zonal classification, its types of precipitation, okay, the variations in the precipitation. Okay, so these things we study from the Indian perspective, which is the regional aspect, and this systematic aspect, which gives us a different perspective to understand the phenomena of precipitation here. Similar thing goes for the planetary winds or the wind system. When we talk about the winds in India, we have the monsoonal winds like northeast wind and the southwest wind system. But when we talk about the from a planetary perspective, then we have easterlies, we have westerlies, okay, we have the jet streams, okay, which is one of also part of the wind system here, that is more localized but very important to understand various other phenomena. So these things are synthesis, these things are synthesized together by this areal differentiation, then hedge against the fragmentation. It prevents geography from dissolving into separate disciplines, that is the economics, sociology and anthropology. How? In the above section what we say so here, we try to take various aspects here. In another matrix, what I will do here, I can take here sociology, philosophy, polity, economy. So these things can be studied separately. Okay, I'm saying again, it can be studied separately as a part of the geography and not included or dissolving the phenomena of geography as part of other disciplines as it was provided by Sheffer. Okay, as provided by the Sheffer here. Now, this is the regional study or regional synthesis. What are the practical applications of regional synthesis? Number one, regional development planning. As we have seen the Glasnost program, which is a state-sponsored program by the Russia, okay, where we say that the regional planning is very important. It is integral to the structuring of the various ideas and conceptualization of ideas into reality is done in the Soviet Union, now the Russian part here. Okay, in India also we used the regional planning, but now we will see that in the form of five years planning. But now this regional planning, it is an old idea and we do not follow planning aspect anymore. The backward area identification, for example, government regional development initiatives targeting unique problems of specific regions. For example, we have command area development, we have hilly areas development, we have tribal areas development. Okay, we have desert areas development. Okay, so these are the certain areas or regions which are identified by the government of India, which is used for the planning. And these backward areas, they are very important to be planned and developed because we want to achieve equality. We want to achieve equality in those particular regions. Then we have special economic zones. Special economic zones, you might know about it. Okay, the recognition that same development model cannot apply everywhere. Now, if I want to develop certain industries which are export oriented, if I want to develop certain industries which are for the fulfilling of the demand of the people who are living in particular city or state on the country, so the development of the uh, industry which are for the export, it will be completely different from the industries which are for the personal consumption. Okay, it will be very much different from the personal consumption. Therefore, the model which is present here for the export and the personal consumption, this will vary. How this will vary, this is explained to us by this regional synthesis here. Then smart cities development. India has already taken the 100 smart cities program, requires region specific approaches recognizing unique urban characteristics of those regions. For example, if what city you are living in right now, I'm asking to you as parents. For example, I'm living in Nagpur. Nagpur is also one of the smart city and it is having a very different approach for the development of city as per the requirement of the local population here. If we take the example of Indore, it also have a different aspect, different characteristics of its development. If I go to a coastal city like Kollam, it have a different demand. For example, the agricultural pattern, the economic activities, the tradition, culture, the requirement of data, the government, public, we can say that the public policies, the administration is also quite different there, which is compared to Indore and Nagpur. If I take one of the other smart cities, I can take here Dehradun, or I can also take Jammu. So these cities, we will see that they are present over the Himalayan regions. I can also take here Itanagar, okay, which is present in Arunachal Pradesh. So these cities, they are present uh, over the Himalayan states or Himalayan regions. Their requirement is quite different. Their development strategy is quite different, which is followed by the plain cities like Nagpur, Indore, and coastal city like Kollam. So this city development program, it has to be very specific. How a city can be smart, because it have to be self-developing. Okay, it have to be self-developing, and it have to be dynamic in nature. It have to be dynamic in nature, which makes it smart. So this is one of the regional development planning which is followed here. Next is environmental management. Environmental management is very important as per the perspective of planning. So watershed management, each watershed unique management practices tailored to local conditions. Watershed planning for the region of Himalayas is different for the region of Western Ghats, is different from the region of Vindhyas, Satpuras, Aravalis. So all these regions, they have different watershed management conditions, because their local conditions are very much different from one another. Agricultural policy. Crop recommendations vary by region, that is soil, climate, water availability, and market access also. Climate change adaptation, regional vulnerability, and adaptation strategy highly differentiated from each other. Then cultural heritage and conservation. Regional specificity, recognition that cultural practices, languages, cuisines geographically specific. Place-based identity. Place-based identity is very important. Make it a star mark. Importance of regional identity in cultural preservation is very important here. For example, regional identity of rice which is grown in Kollam is very much different from the rice which is grown in the Arunachal Pradesh or Manipur, or we can say that which is grown in Chhattisgarh also. So it is giving an identity. So what identity we are identifying it through? We are identifying them through the geographical indication tag. Okay, so this is an identity which is given to those crops there. Then sustainable tourism, regional uniqueness foundation for authentic cultural tourism. Cultural tourism, we see that you might have not have been gone. Must few of you might have heard about it, like Tawang, which is present in Arunachal Pradesh. So it is a one of the very, we can say that it is a exquisite site which is giving a cultural tourism experience. So this experience, it is very unique to that region, and it cannot be taken from the various aspects. Now, I have presented certain case studies which is integrated. Now let's look at these case studies which help us to understand the areal differentiation, regional synthesis, and combinedly the regional approach here. Now, regional variation in India, the north-south divide, the geographical context here. India represents premier example of areal differentiation on continental scale. The Indian subcontinent encompasses wide physical diversity and profound cultural, linguistic, and economic variations, creating distinctly different regions. Okay, physical differentiation, that is North India, terrain Indo-Gangetic Plain, alluvial deposit from the Himalayan rivers. Climate monsoonal with high precipitation during the southwest monsoon. Vegetation, mixed deciduous and subtropical forest, extensive agricultural plains present here. Water, perennial rivers like Ganga, Brahmaputra, and their tributaries, with abundant seasonal variations. Southern India, peninsular India. That is, terrain if we look, Deccan Plateau, ancient crystalline rocks are present here with eastern and western Ghats. Climate, more stable, less extreme seasonal variation because of the continentality factor, Modern rainfall with the distinct dry seasons here. Vegetation, dry deciduous forest, grasslands, less water dependent agriculture. Majorly millets and other crops are present here. Water, rivers seasonal with less predictable flow. Limited groundwater availability in many areas are also present here. Okay. Next, human differentiation, that is the culture and historical factors which are seen as the north-south divide here. In northern India, we will see the cultural history, that is successive invasions and empires, Mughals, British, creating Indo-Islamic Western culture synthesis in the northern India. Languages, Indo-Aryan languages, family, Hindi is predominant in this region. In certain patches, Urdu is also available. Agricultural tradition, wheat cultivation, large-scale irrigation is present here. Sedentary farming is practiced here. Social organization, Hindu caste system with Muslim influences, patrilineal kinship is very dominant here. Demographics, higher population concentration, lower literacy historically is seen in these regions. When we compare it with the southern Indian contemporary part here. So cultural history, autonomous Dravidian kingdoms, less external conquest, distinct Brahminical traditions are followed in these regions. Languages, when we talk about Dravidian language family, Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Malayalam are seen here. Strong linguistic regionalism is also seen in this region. Agricultural tradition, number one, rice cultivation, tank irrigation practices adapted to seasonal rainfall patterns are also taken up here. Social organizations, when we see different caste configurations, matrilineal traditions in Kerala, temple-centered religious life in the region of Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, and we can say uh, Telangana and Andhra Pradesh is also seen here. When we talk about the demographics, lower population density, higher historical literacy, and different gender ratios are seen in this region. Now, when we look at the contemporary time, the contemporary economic differentiation, so northern India, it is dominant sector where agriculture is for wheat belt, small scale manufacturing and services are seen in this region. Industrial base, traditional, labor intensive industries concentrated along Delhi Agra Lucknow corridor is also seen here. Development indicators, lower urbanization, lower human development index, significant poverty is prevailing in this North India region. Migration patterns, major rural urban migration to Delhi, out migration to the richer states like we can say Gujarat, Maharashtra, Punjab is taking place. When we talk about the southern India, particularly Kerala, Tamil Nadu, and Karnataka, dominant sectors, high-tech industries present in Bangalore, plantation agriculture in Kerala, and automotive industries in Tamil Nadu is present. Industrial base, when we talk about modern manufacturing, IT services, organized sector is highly significant. When we talk about the development indicators, highly urbanization, higher human development index, lower poverty comparatively, and higher literacy rates are also seen. When we talk about the migration pattern, in migration of labor is highly seen in these states here. Remittance dependent economy, for example, if people are coming from states like Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Madhya Pradesh to these regions for work, they send back certain amount of money to their home states. If they're earning around 1 lakh rupees, we can say that around 20,000 to 30,000 is sent every month by a single person to their families back there who are living in those particular states there. So this is one of the part where we see that there is a regional study is seen with respect to the different parameters from number one, we can see here from the geographical context to the physical aspect here, then human differentiation. Okay, so these are certain factors which we see here, which is very important for us to understand that how this regional synthesis and areal differentiation work and how we are studying, what we are studying in the contemporary time, how it is linked to the areal differentiation and the regional synthesis. Okay, so here we can understand it by this particular we can say the case study which is provided above. Now, application of geographical perspective in this particular areal differentiation and the regional synthesis. Number one, deterministic interpretation. Now, this point is very important. When you go for the exam and writing answers, you will see that we are able to apply certain examples, we are able to apply certain aspects which is given in that particular answer. For example, aerial differentiation, how it is developed, who had developed it, Hartner, Hartshorne, then we can talk about Kant, then we can talk about Richthofen. But how these perceptions have influenced the development of aerial differentiation and regional synthesis, we need to take a look at what were the perceptions which were working in the background and as an undercurrent, providing continuous thoughts and theories for the development of that particular paradigm. So this we can see here through this perspectives part here. That is deterministic interpretation. South India's higher development result from better climate, that is stable monsoon, better soils, Western Ghat region, and different latitude induced productivity differences. Northern India's environmental constraints, seasonal extremes, flood-prone plains, water variability determine lower development levels. Okay, so this is a deterministic perspective which we are seeing as a constraint of climate or constraint of the environmental factors for the development of the Northern India and the Southern India. Critic ignores historical choices, colonial extraction patterns, then investment decisions and policy variations are also seen here. Now, what we can say that Maharashtra is more developed than the southern states. Okay, so here we can say that the investment decisions, the policy variations, the colonial extraction pattern, this is also taken up into the consideration here. Now, second perspective here is the possibilistic interpretation. Given similar physical constraint or opportunities, North and South made different cultural and the historical choices. How? North's encounter with the Mughal administration that was quite prevalent there. Islamic law and Persian cultural traditions created different social organizations in the northern India. South maintained a autonomous kingdoms, developed different administrative traditions, invested in education. Contemporary North-South differences reflect centuries of accumulated choices, institutional developments, and path-dependent trajectories which have shaped the contemporary prevalence of the culture, the development in the northern region of India and the southern region of India. So this is a possibilistic tendencies which actually altered the course of development of the northern India and southern India to a certain extent. It was maintained and it was retained. Now, evidence supporting the possibilism, what it can be. Now, this is important part. Kerala and Tamil Nadu, that is southern with comparable physical environments to other southern regions, show dramatically different development. That is Kerala's high literacy, historical state invested in education. Tamil Nadu's industrial base reflects deliberate state policies in the region. Now, counter to this, when we look at the northern India, Punjab achieved high agricultural productivity through institutional innovation, that is structural institution here. The green revolution technology adopted, cooperative systems despite the physical constraints were seen here, which is one of the evidence of the possibilism in the southern region and also the northern region of India. Now, this is something which is important from the possibilistic and the deterministic aspect, which helps us to understand the areal differentiation or the regional synthesis. Why? Because areal differentiation and regional synthesis, it takes into consideration both the physical aspect and also the human aspect to understand this particular stream in a better way. Now, moving to next aspect, that is the areal differentiation analysis for this aspect here. The north-south divide illustrates how vertical unity, internal integration of elements, and horizontal unity, that is regional hierarchy, operate. Now, what we have seen in the previous part, will be applying it in the contemporary aspect here. Now, aspect north, south, and casual integration. Climate, in the north part, we have extreme seasonal. For example, this is December. Okay, today's date is 8th of December, 8th or 9th of December it is. 9th in the city of Delhi, or we can say Punjab, during the daytime it would be around 11 to 12 to 13 degrees Celsius. Okay, but in Nagpur we will see that it is around 17 to 18 degrees Celsius. When I will go to the Kerala region, it will be around 22 to 23 degrees Celsius. So I can see that as I am moving from Kerala to the Punjab region, here there is a difference in the temperature, and as I'm going to the northern India, here it is becoming more extreme. While in the southern part, it is moderate seasonal here. It affects the agricultural practices in the region. For example, in the southern part, in the Kerala or Tamil Nadu region, we can still grow rice. But in the northern India, we are currently sowing or going for the wheat here. Then crops, wheat and rice. For south, rice plantation crops. Plantation crops are highly supported like coffee, rubber, cocoa. Then tea is also supported there. It reflects the climate adaptation in the region. Social organization, when we talk about it, is the caste plus Islamic is present in North India, while in the southern India it is the Dravidian caste are prevalent there. Historical cultural synthesis is present in both the regions. When we talk about the language, it is North India have Indo-Aryan languages, while the southern India it have Dravidian languages, which is the ancient migration and isolation of various people that will result into the development of such linguistic hierarchy. When we talk about development, there is lower human development index in North India and higher human development index in southern India. Institutional choices and investment patterns have resulted into such consistencies there. Okay. Friends, I want to ask you that have you understood this case study? This case study was quite big, but it included the phenomena which will actually help you to understand the regional uh, approach, the regional synthesis, and this aerial differentiation in a very easy manner so that you can write the answer for the UPSC exam in a very simplistic manner. So any doubts, any queries for this case study? After this, we'll go for the next case study. Any doubts, any queries for this case study? You can reply in the chat. Guys, this is a live class. You can anytime you can answer the here. If not, then I shall move forward. I'm waiting for your replies. Okay, so Urmila is typing, no doubt here. Okay, so this is one case study. I will go move to the next case study. Next case study is on Varanasi versus Kanpur, that is contrasting urban models in the North India. Now, in the previous section, what we have seen, we have taken two regions, which is present in a single subcontinent of India, that is Northern India and Southern India. And in this case study, we are taking two cities which are present in Uttar Pradesh. So we are basically focusing on the urban models which are present in this two cities of Uttar Pradesh, that is the Northern India. Now, geographical context, when we talk about, both cities are located on Ganga River in Uttar Pradesh, similar latitudes, comparable physical environments, yet represent dramatically different urban models. How? Illustrating how identical environmental possibilities generate different human adaptations also. So we are talking about Varanasi and Kanpur. Okay. Varanasi is considered as the sacred city of India. Physical characteristic located 790 kilometers southeast of Delhi along Ganga's northern band. Alluvial plain is present here. Climate is subtropical monsoon. Mean temperature is 27 degrees Celsius. Annual rainfall is 110 centimeters. Terrain, when we talk about, Low-lying alluvial plain with temple-dense riverfront are present here. Transport, historic river commerce, and modern rail connection is also present here. When we talk about the human characteristics, religious significance is very high for Varanasi. Holiest city in Hinduism, pilgrimage destination for millions annually. Multiple ancient temples, that is Kashi Vishwanath, Annapurna temple, and others are present here. Spiritual significance, that is the belief of that in Varanasi liberates the soul. This is one of a belief system which is uh, practiced, or it is believed by the Hinduism throughout the India. Ritual practices, daily ritual along the ghat, that is riverbank steps, then cremation at the Manikarnika Ghat. Okay, this is very important for that area. When we talk about the economic base, tourism, religious pilgrimage, that is primary economic driver. Crafts, Varanasi silk sari, it is an economic activity. Traditional handloom, brassware, and the brocade weaving. Informal sector, boatmen, guides, puja priests, flower sellers, food vendors. Trade, historical silk route terminus, Mughal period trading center is also present here. Urban character, when we talk about here, the dense, then labyrinthine medieval street layout is present here. Population is around 1.5 million. Significant informal economy is present here. Limited large scale manufacturing is present in the region. Cultural heritage preservation prioritized. Then architecture, mix of temples, medieval bazaars, colonial buildings are also present here. Then government governance here, tourism promotion, heritage conservation, religious sensitivities paramount, then limited industrial development, community-based small-scale enterprise dominance is seen here. When we look at the application of possibilism in the city of Varanasi from the perception of urban center, Varanasi represents human choices to actualize religious possibilities from environmental and historical endowments. Same river location could have generated industrial city in Varanasi also, which has occurred in Kanpur. But instead of that, this is a religious, cultural, and historical pilgrimage, tradition-oriented development towards the spiritual possibilities. Modern tourism economy extends this spiritual orientation and contribute to the economy of that particular city. Now, there is a contrasting city which is Kanpur, located just few kilometers from Varanasi. Now, it is located 400 kilometers southwest of Delhi along Ganga, also having alluvial plain. Similar to Varanasi, subtropical monsoon terrain, flat alluvial plain suitable for industrial development. Transport, excellent railway connectivity, Grand Trunk Road Railway, Ganga water supply is also available here. Now, human characteristic, when we talk about the industrial development, British colonial choice to develop industrial center in the region of Kanpur is seen. Leather tanning industry, world's largest leather tanning center is present from since 1950s to 70s. Textile mills, cotton mill industry, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, metal energy engineering is also present here. Agricultural processing, cotton ginning, and oil extraction is seen here. When we talk about the economic base, the primary sector, which is the agriculture, mining activity, or other activities, contribute to 50% of the economy here. Textile and leather, it is traditional industries, labor-intensive industries. Modern industries, chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and machinery. Formal sector is dominated here. Organized labor significantly seen here. When we talk about the urban character, modern planned layout, colonial grid pattern, population 3.5 million. Industrial zones concentrated, separate residential areas is seen. Lower tourism, utilitarian architecture is also seen here. Significant environmental pollution from the leather tanning is highly seen here. When we look at the governance approach, industrial development prioritized, environmental regulations historically is quite weak here. Labor relations, significant political force, then modern municipal administration is seen here. What are the problems and challenges of the Kanpur city? Let's look at it. Environmental degradation, leather tanning, toxic waste contamination, Ganga pollution levels among the world's highest is seen in the Kanpur city. Pollution related health issues like skin diseases, respiratory problems, waterborne illnesses disproportionately affecting poor, post-liberalization, deindustrialization, global competition, high labor cost triggered factory closures and unemployment in this Kanpur city here. Then urban decay, once prosperous city now facing rust belt dynamics here, which is also one of the other word for the industrial inertia. It is seen here. Then application of the possibilism in this city of Kanpur. Kanpur represents human choice to actualize industrial possibilities. Colonial administration and post-independence planners selected industrial rather than religious orientations for the development. Different historical contingency, that is British colonial investment in industrial infrastructure rather than pilgrimage facilitation, channel development towards manufacturing possibilities in Kanpur. Yet this choice now burdens city with environmental degradation and post-industrial decline. So this is one of the perspective from the possibilism which is highly applicable for the development of the Kanpur. And in the counter contemporary time, we can say that it is also applicable for the development of the Varanasi as a city. Now, a same kind of the comparative regional analysis is seen here. You will be provided with this document. You can go through it. You will get a better possibility here. Now, we will look at the critical insights here. Now, environmental possibilities, which are identical for both cities located on same river, similar climate. Okay, this is also the same part. I'm skipping this. You can go through this. Okay. Okay. In the next part, we'll be looking at the critical analysis and contemporary applications. That is section 7 here for the areal differentiation and the regional synthesis. Determinism, possibilism, dichotomy. That is the contemporary resolution for this part. Here, contemporary geography increasingly recognizes that determinism and possibilism are complementary rather than mutually exclusive. Okay, they are not exclusive, but they are interdependent on each other. How? Deterministic elements, physical environment establishes constraint and affordness, which is physically possible. Okay, possibilistic element, culture, values, institutions determine which possibilities are actualized and how. Integration of both the thoughts. Understanding requires recognizing both physical constraint and human agencies here. Now, structural constraints and agentic freedom. Modern geographical theory, particularly through Giddens' structuration theory, argues structures, that is, deterministic elements. Physical environment imposes non-negotiable constraints, while historical institutional arrangements channel present possibilities, as we have seen in the case of Kanpur and the Varanasi. Economic systems establishes incentive structures. Then power relations privilege certain actors' choices there. When we talk about the agency, which is a possibilistic theme here, humans interpret environmental constraints differently, while creativity allows previously unconvinced responses. Collective action can transform structures, individual and group decisions reshape the geography here. When we talk about the dialectical process here, structures constrain but don't determine. Agents work within constraint but can modify them through creative responses. This is the interlinking of the deterministic thought and the possibilistic thought in terms of the structures and the agency, which are limiting for within each other and which are also creatively modifying each other. Then the physical human dichotomy towards the integration in this aspect. Why integration matters here? Geography's unique contribution to knowledge, it involves the integrated perspective. Understanding place requires simultaneous consideration of physical and human. Holistic problems, that is the real world problems, climate change, urbanization, food security, it requires integrated analysis here. The emergent properties. The regional characteristics emerge from the human environment interaction cannot be understood through either dimension alone. So we have to understand the human beings and also the physical environment and their interactions with each other so that we can solve the larger problems for for the better living conditions of the human beings here. Then mechanism for integration, what we can see here. The hybrid approach, recognition that human environment boundaries are permeable. Socio-natural hybrids. Cities are neither fully natural nor fully social. They are hybrid socio-natural systems. Then environmental governance. Environmental management requires understanding both natural processes, hydrology, ecology, and social institutions, property rights policy frameworks, material agency, natural materials, water, soil, climate, exert agency constraining and enabling human conditions. Then scale perspective when we see here, the physical and human processes operate at different scales, integrating requiring scale bridging. Climate, that is global physical scale, okay, intersects with local livelihood systems, that is the human scale, whereas the watershed hydrology, regional physical scale, intersects with water governance, which is a political economic scale here. Now, areal differentiation in sustainable development, which is one of the important themes which is asked in the contemporary time. The regional specific principles or the regional specificity principle. Sustainable development requires regional specificity. One size fits all model fails here. Standard development prescriptions ignore regional uniqueness. That is an important issue. Place-based sustainability is highly important. Environmental limits, cultural values, and institutional capacities differ regionally. For example, what belief system is present in the region of Kanpur and in the region of Varanasi is highly different. Therefore, the working of both the cities or the development of both the cities is highly different from both the perspective. Then adaptation imperative. Climate change adaptation requires regionally specific responses, recognizing unique vulnerabilities in different studies there. Smart cities as test. Okay, we have seen this examples. Okay, we have seen this already. You can just go through them. Okay, we have also identified this part here. Okay, now we have completed the part of the areal differentiation and the regional geography. This is for your section that what are the different models, keys, and laws here. Okay, then different models, keys, and laws and case studies are provided here. Certain exam oriented questions are provided. Try to write the answer for this question and provide the answer to me in the Telegram group. If you will go through the link, you will find my group here. Okay, send the answer to me in the group. We will evaluate it live, like we are discussing this live here. Okay, certain references are provided from where I have taken up this cases. Okay, so guys, any doubts, any queries would you like to address? Would you like to ask? In the next session, we'll be going with the quantitative revolution and the locational analysis, the link of which will be provided today or tomorrow itself. Not an issue. This particular PDF will be uploaded. Any questions, any doubts, you can answer. Any questions, any doubts you have, you can ask me. I will answer them. Areal differentiation, regional synthesis, different theoretical development, development of geography, the decline of areal differentiation, the rise of quantitative revolution. Any doubts, any queries that you have, you can go through your notes and you can ask me. Okay, do write the question. Okay, I'll give you a question here. Write this question here. We'll discuss this in the group in the evening. We can take this question number one. Okay, join my Telegram group. Question is, the dichotomy between determinism and possibilism is false. They represent complementary perspective rather than contradictory philosophies. Evaluate this statement in context of contemporary geography. This is for 10 marks. I will also post this question in the Telegram group. Try to write the answer for this question in 150 words and send me the PDF copy in the Telegram group. You can also upload it here in the YouTube. Okay, I will take it here to the Telegram and we will discuss it in the live format like we are discussing right now. I will be evaluating the copy in the live format, which will be very much helpful for you and for other aspirants also. Okay, so guys, Urmila, do you have any doubt? Other aspirant, any doubt? If not, then I shall take the leave now. We will meet tomorrow at 11 a.m. Okay, then see you tomorrow. All the best and take care.